Shalom, Akim, more praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, the elders of Great Millstone. And salute once again to sincere Akim out there of the hopeful elect. Okay? And, this past week, I was watching, on Disney Plus, I was watching the series, mini-series Loki. Okay? From Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is Thor's brother. All right, brothers that's familiar with some of these Marvel movies. All right, you have the TV show Loki. All right, in which he's supposed to be the God of Mischief. All right, he's the God of he says it all the time in these Marvel movies, that he's the God of Mischief. All right, and so I was kind of like looking into it, man. He's a god of Norse mythology, and I'm looking on Wikipedia about him, what information they have on him, and the rabbit hole gets a little bit deeper when you actually do some studying, right? Scriptures tell you study to show thyself approved. Really you're supposed to be studying the scriptures, man. All right, but this all ties into the scriptures because the so-called white man, all right, is basically the god of mischief, right? What is mischief? Wickedness, trouble, evil, evil things and shit like that, all right? And it all has to be tied in, okay? But I'm gonna read a little bit from out of here on Wikipedia. It says Loki is a god in Norse mythology, all right? I'm gonna jump down to what I have highlighted. It says scholars have debated Loki's origins and role in Norse mythology, which some have described as that of a trickster god. All right, a trickster god. What is a trickster? Someone who deceives people, play tricks on people. Okay, who basically tries to swindle people, get over on people, take advantage of people's ignorance. All right, and that's what the so-called white man is. That's what he does. He's certainly known for that. All right. Okay. So I'm going to a couple of scriptures that deals with mischief. All right. This is Psalms 36 verse 4. It says, "He deviseth mischief upon his bed. He setteth himself in a way that is not good. He abhorreth not evil." Okay, and that's talking about the so-called white man, beginning with the elites. But every last one of them, they're all the devil at the end of the day. All right, but the elites, the ones who basically sit at the very top of the pyramid. All right, they devise all of this mischief, all of this chaos that you see in the world today. Starting with the Rothschild family, who has the financial means to fund all of this chaos that's taking place in the world today. All right. Then you also got you got the Rockefellers, different rich families that had centuries of wealth. All right, who are all allied together in these secret fraternities, right? The different Masonic orders, and the different the different subcategories or subgroups, roundtable groups of the Illuminati. All right. Psalms 36 and 4 says he deviseth mischief upon his bed. All right. So they sleep and they dream of ways that they can come up to cause chaos in the world, man. Showing you that they the goddamn devil that the Bible speaks of. It says he setteth himself in a way that is not good. He abhorreth not evil. He hates not evil. All right. He doesn't hate evil. They love evil, man. Okay. It's said that the Rothschilds had a goddamn I don't know if they was in Rockefeller Center or one of these towers in Manhattan when the World Trade Center fell, when them buildings collapsed, but they basically had a front row view to see these towers fall down, man. All right. Okay, so they hate not evil. They love this, man. They live for this, causing pain and suffering in people's lives. Psalm 62:3, it says, how long will ye imagine mischief against a man? How long will ye imagine mischief against a man? Ye shall be slain, all of you, as a bowing wall shall ye be, and as a tottering fence. Okay, so the Lord is going to wind up destroying Esau, the so-called white man. All right. This is Proverbs chapter 4, verse 16. It says, for they sleep not, except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away unless they cause some to fall. Okay. And that's why these devils, they come up with these elaborate schemes to basically cause harm on the people, to divide the people, to make people go to war with each other and kill one another, right? Tells you that in Revelations, the 6th chapter, all right? The red horse, which is Esau, which represents the so-called white man, okay? That he was given a great sword, and he took peace from the earth, okay? They basically fund both sides of opposing armies, and they profit off of it in the meantime. Civil wars in these different countries where you got these militant groups going at it with one another for political power, all right? But behind the scenes, they're being funded by the same banking families, man. By the same banking families, okay? So they're causing mischief in the world, man. All throughout the world, all right? Now, when you check out this guy, Loki, all right? It says there was quite a bit of evidence that Loki in pre-modern society was thought to be the causer of knots, tangles, loops, or himself a knot, tangle, or loop. Okay? Hence, it is natural that Loki is the inventor of the fishnet, which consists of loops and knots, and that the word Loki is a term for makers of cobwebs, spiders, and the like. It says, though not prominent in the oldest sources, this identity as a tangler may be the etymological meaning of Loki's name. All right? So keep that in mind. Tangler, knots, loops. All right? Makers of cobwebs, spiders, and the like. Okay? And when you go to the book of Genesis, chapter 3, verse 1, I always remember Apostle Tahar breaking this down. All right? It says, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field. All right? Who is the serpent according to the Bible? The so-called white man. All right? His origins going all the way back to Genesis during the time of Adam and Eve. Okay? The so-called white man was there in the garden. Okay? He's the serpent that was spoken of in the garden. All right? The serpent wasn't actually talking about a snake like these stupid Christians in the churches believe. They'll have a picture of a naked white man and a naked white woman, okay, taking a bite out of an apple, and it'd be a goddamn 8-foot python sitting there conversing with them, okay? That's all. That shows you them people in the churches. They don't have no goddamn sense or understanding of the Holy Scriptures, man. The Lord clearly ain't dealing with them, man. All right. That serpent is actually talking about a man, and it's talking about the so-called white man. All right. It says, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast. All right. The serpent represents his characteristics, his personality, that man's personality. Okay. A person that's a serpent is basically a sly individual, man. Someone who you shouldn't trust. All right. The serpents are known for their wisdom, but more so with their cunning ways, their deceptive ways. Okay. That's what the serpent represents. And that's the so-called white man. You can't trust the so-called white man. The scriptures tell you never trust thine enemy. And the so-called white man is our enemy, going back to the birth of Jacob and Esau. All right. Our fraternal twin brother. We were basically enemies from birth. Okay. Jacob, which represents the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and Esau, which represents these Caucasian people in the world today. All right. And they're also known as the serpent. They're also known as the devil and Satan. All right. It says, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which the Lord Yahweh had made. All right. And the word subtle, when you look it up in the blue letter, is the Hebrew word irawam. Irawam. All right. Which means subtle, shrewd, crafty, sly, sensible, right? Because you have to have wisdom and understanding. You know, Esau gets his knowledge and wisdom and understanding on the left-hand side. But it says crafty, shrewd, sensible, prudent. Okay? Prudent. All right? And when you look up the word subtle in the Webster's Dictionary 1828 edition, it says nice, fine, delicate. It says acute, piercing, as in subtle pain. But this is the main definition that I'm looking for. It says sly, artful, cunning, crafty. Right? Insinuating as a subtle person, a subtle adversary. Planned by art, deceitful as a subtle scheme. Deceitful, treacherous. All right? So those are the definitions of subtle. And when you really break it down, like Apostle Tahar broke it down years ago, you know, from the going into the root words, you know, the prefix of the word and suffixes of the word, you know, the prefix sub, from subtil, sub meaning under, and till is where you get the word tile from. So it means under the tile, under the tile. All right. What is it? The tile is like basically like it's basically like a web, right? Because like a spider, I remember Tahar always breaking it down. You know, a spider is able to maneuver around his web. Okay, is able to maneuver from under the web. All right, and move around. You know, a spider doesn't get caught up in its own web. All right, and when you go back to Loki, going back to Loki, it says here in Wikipedia, all right, it says there was quite a bit of evidence that Loki in pre-modern society was thought to be the causer of knots, tangles, loops, or himself a knot, tangle, or a loop. All right. Hence, it is natural that Loki is the inventor of the fish net. What is a net? A net is like a web. All right. A net is like a web. It says which consists of loops and knots, and that the word Loki is a term for makers of cobwebs, spiders, and the like. So a subtle individual, all right, under the web. Okay, going back to the Genesis, the 3rd chapter. All right, it says, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord Yahweh had made. And he said unto the woman, yea, has the Most High said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? All right, and he's asking Eve that question in deceit. Okay, he asked Eve that question in deceit. She know what the Most High said, what was told unto her. All right, okay, but the serpent, using his subtlety, went towards the woman first. He dealt with the woman. Okay, because the woman is the weaker vessel. All right. Where was I at? Oh yeah, Proverbs 4:16. I'm gonna read that again. All right. Matter of fact, we get Revelations chapter 20, verse 7. It says, and when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison. and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth. All right, that 1,000 years is talking about the Byzantine Empire. All right, you know, from the mid 1300s. Okay, I mean, I'm sorry, from the mid 300s, going from 193 AD really to like around 325 AD. You know, so-called black people started to rule Europe. Okay, and we started losing power around the mid 1300s in Europe, and that's a 1,000-year period. Okay, which is also known as the Dark Ages. All right, because during that time period, dark-skinned people were ruling Europe. Okay, you know, and it's evident. We have the icons. Okay, and you know, the relics that we left behind in Europe to show you what the people look like that was ruling during that time. All of these great kings and queens and people of royalty that you hear about in Europe during medieval times, they were all so-called black people. And the so-called white man was a second-class citizen, okay? And they was beneath us. They were beneath us. They were irrelevant, okay? And you know, when you check out the Khazar Empire, you know, they was all dwelling in caves during that time period, man. All right? They were dwelling in caves, eating out of their grandmother's skulls, man. Okay? Not taking baths. They were basically uncivilized. They didn't even have a means to communicate with one another. They didn't even have a language. All right? So they were basically straight up savages, base and vile, like the scriptures described them. All right? And that was for a 1,000-year period, man. We put the so-called white man into captivity. So Revelation 20:7, it says, and when the 1,000 years are expired, which is during the time of the Renaissance, that's when the so-called white man started to come back into power. It says, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison. Who is Satan? Satan is the so-called white man. Okay? All right? It says, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth. There it is. He deceived the nations. What's the main way he deceived the nations? By setting up that image of Caesar Borgia. All right? Who the world, that so-called white image of who the world believes is Jesus Christ. Okay? That's how he deceived the world, man. Okay? Which are in the four quarters of the earth. The four quarters of the earth represents what? North, south, east, and west. All over the world, man. That image has been promoted, heavily promoted throughout the whole world. It says Gog and Magog to gather them together to battle. Yeah, because the Lord is mustering a battle between Russia and the United States of America, which is Babylon the Great. It says the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. Okay, yeah, because a lot of Israelites, 2/3 of Israelites are going to die in the process, man, in this third world's war. Okay, it says, and they went up on the breadth of the earth and compassed the camp of the saints about. And that's what the so-called white man did. As soon as he came into power, all right, he basically went all throughout the world conquering, man. Okay, that's why I forget. Oh man, I wanted to quote the scripture because I forget where it's at exactly. All right, it says the earth is defiled because of the inhabitants thereof. I believe it's in Matthew 24. I can't recall right now, but there's a scripture that say the earth is defiled because of the inhabitants thereof. And that's the so-called white man. He's inhabiting everybody's land. Okay? That's why it says, and they went up on the breadth of the earth. All right? They're everywhere on the earth, man. They're out there in Australia. They're in South Africa. They're out there in goddamn China and Asia. They're out there in the Middle East. They came over here on this side of the world. All right? They're everywhere. Okay? It says, and compass the camp of the saints about. Who are the saints? The nation of Israel. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. In the beloved city, all right, which is Jerusalem, which represents the house of David or the elect of the nation of Israel, right, you Jakes. It says, and fire came down from the Most High out of heaven and devoured them. Yeah, that's that third world's war. And that's Yahweh Shai and them angels coming back, you know, shooting lasers at the armies of the so-called white man and the other nations, all right? It says, and the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone. All right. So this devil, man, he done basically entrapped himself. He basically done set up a trap for his goddamn self. He's deceiving himself. right? The spiritual demon Satan is actually deceiving him, man. Okay? To the point where these devils really believe that they're going to set up a new world order and actually rule the world forever. Okay? So they're being deceived. The Most High is going to destroy them, man. They're going to be destroyed. It says where the beast and the false prophet are. What's the beast? The so-called white man, his power structure, NATO and the EU, right? The Western forces, okay? The false prophet is talking about his religious or spiritual power, all right? Which is the Vatican, you know, which basically controls, which basically has a heavy hand in controlling most of these damn religions throughout the world, all right? They're entangled with all of these goddamn religions, man. You know, including Islam, for you stupid Muslims out there, okay? You know, you got the Pope, you got the Black Pope, which is, you know, the Society of Jesus, all right? They run things behind the scenes in the Vatican, man, you know? And they send out their missionaries, or mercenaries, I'm sorry, okay? To go out there and promote this religious ideology and dogma, all right? Of Christianity. It says, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. That's when the Lord's going to destroy them, man. All right? So, you know, the so-called white man is the deceiver. He's the God of mischief. He's Loki, okay? And he's going to be destroyed. He's the devil that the Bible speaks of. So, you know, I hope the brother's been edified. I'm going to end this video on that note. Say shalom while we're rocking to you, Akim, out there. Lord willing, I'll see you in the next one. Shalom.